Welcome to Soccer in 60, presented by the Empire Strykers. Get ready for your weekly look at all the pro soccer teams in Greater Los Angeles. We've got all the news and analysis you need, from LAFC and the LA Galaxy to the Empire Strykers, Angel City FC, and Orange County Soccer Club. Now, buckle up and enjoy Soccer in 60.
Welcome indeed to the fastest paced soccer show in SoCal. This is Soccer in 60, brought to you by SAC Health System, covering all the week's news, highlights, and more from LAFC, the Galaxy, Angel City, Orange County Soccer Club, and of course, the major arena soccer leagues. 3-game winning streak having Empire Strykers. That's right. Hello and welcome. I'm your host, J.R. Liebert, affectionately known as Scarf. And of course, I've got my two co-hosts with me today. The first, Orange County Soccer Club superfan and soccer guru overall, my man, Timmy K. Tim Colotz. Welcome, buddy.
Hey, Scarf. It's great to be here and all my crew on this beautiful afternoon here in Southern California to talk all things Greater LA footy.
Good to have you, my friend. And of course, one half of the co-hosts of the Lacuna Galaxiana podcast, Ananda Karana. Ananda, welcome back to Soccer in 60.
Good to be back, boys, and let's rock and roll.
Lots of good stuff to talk about. Of course, subscribe to the podcast on all your podcast platforms. Make sure you subscribe to Soccer in 60 on YouTube. Preseason has begun for our MLS squads. Orange County is sending yet another player overseas, while a pair of Angel City players star for the U.S. women. But the story of the week is the streaking Strykers, as the Inland Empire's finest are now on a 3-game winning streak, courtesy in part to our fantastic interview subject this week, Walter Díaz González, the former Cuban futsal international, is now playing with your Empire Strykers out at Toyota Arena, co-leading the team in goals. And we sit down for a great interview with Walter Díaz. But before we get to all of that, let's get into our friends over at Omnitrans. In partnership with the Empire Strykers, experience the thrill of game day with Omnitrans. Be in the heart of the action at Toyota Arena and let Omnitrans take care of the ride. Simply download the Transit app to catch your bus and enjoy a stress-free trip to cheer on the Strykers. Don't miss out on the excitement and make every moment count at Toyota Arena. Ride with Omnitrans to your next Empire Strykers game. All right, we're going to talk a little bit of LAFC and then over to the Galaxy. But first, it's another under-22 signing for LAFC. 21-year-old midfielder Amin Boudry, who comes from the Swedish club GAIS, and he is signed through 2029 with an option for 2030. That just sounds so far in the future. I don't know about you guys. Look, 8 goals and 2 assists for the attacking midfielder while he was in Sweden's first division. And before that, spent some time with Venezia FC, considered one of the more talented young players in that region. And we've talked about it now a few times on this podcast, Timmy. It's where LAFC really needed to get more dynamic, really, some more playmaking skills if they could. And certainly this U22 young kid is definitely going to be a midfield option for that.
Yeah, I think this is a great move for LAFC because you get a kid that can put the ball in the back of the net, right? He's got 8 biscuits, like you mentioned. He's got 10 goal contributions during his time over in Sweden. And the fact that he can come in at only 21 and is signed through basically because he's going to kill it. He's going to be through 2030. So for the next 4 years, and that high midfield for LAFC is going to be really, really strong for them.
Yeah, and immediately, if you look at the LAFC fan base, they're looking at his sizzle reel there on YouTube, and they're looking at some comparisons to players who we might have brought in before. It's hard to not think, maybe, just kind of, a little bit of Mateusz Bogusz in this signing. We saw what he meant in the midfield for LAFC over a couple of seasons, of course, before he left to go to Liga MX and now back with Houston Dynamo. 20 goals in his last season for LAFC. Ananda, let me ask you, if this young kid can turn into anything resembling a Mateusz Bogusz. What does that mean for the midfield of LAFC this season, considering who they have up top?
Yeah, that's really high praise. And maybe, it's one of those things where you don't want to put a label on some of these young kids because the pressure might get to some of them mentally. But look, if that comes to fruition, I mean, you're going to need more depth, especially like Mark Delgado and Tim Tillman just can't play every game. So you need that depth. And hopefully, the boss gives him enough sort of playing time and starts, and he's in enough situations where he can develop and blossom into that type of player. But Scarf, that would mean that's a huge sign for LAFC if that were to happen. But because again, comparing him to Matty Bogusz, that's really high praise, and that's probably a compliment more than anything else.
Yeah, look, that would be the highest end of the ceiling, I would think, at this point for a player like Beaudry. But I think it's someone who is going to come in, slot right into some minutes for sure. Although, Timmy K, one of the interesting things that came out of a very simple social media hit by LAFC recently was David Martinez now also listed as a midfielder. So it really has you thinking, visions of sugar plums dancing in our heads with Sonny and Denis up top. But what does that mean is going to be behind them, right? They're going to try to bring 2, 3, maybe even 4 attacking players to overlap with those guys. So you have Beaudry, obviously you have Matty Chonier, who is back with them again, David Martinez. This midfield really starting to shape up into a very attack-minded midfield.
Yeah, and what does that mean? Do they change the structure? Is it instead of a 4-3-3, you put more of a 5 in that midfield and kind of jam it up so that the guys on the right side can go attack when the ball's on the left, or vice versa? Do you put those 5 guys in the midfield and the other dudes can't do anything? You do a 2-5-3? What does that really do? Because now you can have guys like Chonier have that freedom to really jam up the middle, up in between Denny and Sonny, and really put some balls in the back of the net.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting when Sonny and Denis were on their goal-scoring streak. Was it 17, 18, 19 goals in a row? I don't remember what it was. They were operating in that 3-5-2, so that's definitely a possibility for LAFC moving forward. But look, who knows with the Marc Dos Santos era, right? So it's going to be fun to see what happens there. LAFC defeated Orange County Soccer Club 1-0 in a closed-door preseason friendly on January 24th. Apparently, Denis Bouanga scored the goal in that one. But other than some still shots by some of the fantastic photographers at LAFC, nothing there. There was also a preseason match on Wednesday, January 28th against Portland. But details, man, those are tough to find online right now. So it'll usually trickle out in a day or two. And I just want to remind everybody, LAFC's only public preseason match this year will be at the Coachella Valley Invitational, and it'll be NYCFC taking on LAFC. That should be a fun one. It comes right on the heels, by the way, of Galaxy's match that day. They're, I think, at 10 o'clock, and then LAFC will be at 12 o'clock, so that'll be a lot of fun. But, who knows what formation LAFC is going to be coming out in. We'll get a chance to see that for the very first time out in front of everybody at Coachella Valley. Ananda, real quick, have you ever been out to the CVI, and are you going to try to get out there this year?
Yeah, unfortunately, this is going to be the first season I'm going to miss it because it's a beautiful event. I go every year, and now that I'm starting to be in sort of the press corps area, you get to meet a lot of people.
Yeah,
I think just the access is unprecedented, and especially for the fans, if you're there to get an autograph and you're there to meet players, that is the place to do it. Beautiful setting, beautiful weather. I highly recommend it.
And one of those players that we're hoping to see is Joao Klaus. And we talked about it a little bit last episode, but Ananda, indeed, the Galaxy getting their man. And of course, we have to mention this coincided with putting Ricky Puig on season-ending injury designation. So it opens up a designated player spot, essentially, and Joao Klaus coming right in, acquired from St. Louis City SC for $2.35 million in a cash for player trade, which was an interesting mechanism there. Now, let me ask you, Ananda, obviously, first and foremost, this is the true 9 that Galaxy needed, correct?
100%. As I mentioned last time, when you look at that roster and you look at the depth chart of striker, me personally, I was not convinced, and a lot of Galaxy fans were not convinced of the options. Christian Ramirez, again, not a starting level striker at this point in his career. Mateus Nascimento, still an unknown quantity, lots of potential. But with Joao Klaus, you know what you're getting. You're getting the floor is a double-digit scorer, and he's been that throughout this season or throughout his MLS career. 10 goals last season. So you're getting a known quantity. And remember, we're still trying to refill the shoes of Dejan Jovic, who left. And he was in the last season, I believe it was 15 goals in that last season, part of that double-digit quartet for the LA Galaxy in terms of goals scored. So the strike force now has been elevated. The floor has been elevated for this team. Will it elevate them to a top 4 seed in the West? That's still a huge unknown, but it definitely raises the floor of the team.
And look, you mentioned it. We know what we're getting with a Joao Klaus. The Galaxy know almost better than anybody else from last year. I believe he scored a hat trick against the Galaxy in 2025.
Yep.
Let me ask you though, Ananda, any worry that he's only under contract for 2026, or is this exactly what it seems? A 1-year rental to get through the injury with Ricky Pooch, and then maybe look, you force him or you can convince him to stay for a little bit cheaper, get him in under a DP salary the next season. Who knows? What are your thoughts on the fact that he's only under contract through this season?
Yeah, I think this is actually works really well in the Galaxy's favor. You said it, Scarf. This is sort of a Band-Aid, a stopgap for this year. But again, he's a known quantity, and he's a guy that we needed at the number 9 position. So it's a really good solve. And on top of that, you allow him to play for his next contract and essentially try out for you for a whole year. And the great thing about this contract, Scarf, from all things that I'm seeing and hearing and reporting that's out there, you know, this is a tammable contract. And I think the expectation is that if Joao Klaus comes back next year, he would not necessarily be DP, because if he stayed in St. Louis, he would actually be a max TAM. He would not have been a DP. The DP designation is applied because of the cash trade. Again, I don't want to get into MLS rules on this show, but the expectation is he would be brought back next year as a TAM player. So this is actually setting up the Galaxy to completely replace that starting number 9 position, not only this year, but potentially long-term.
Yeah, interesting. He's, I believe, 31 years old right now, so still very much in the prime of his career. Another 31-year-old, Timmy, who the Galaxy bring in, and this was breaking news before we were going to go to air with this show. An absolute grizzled veteran with Sporting Kansas City, and a player who was incredible in Germany before he even came over to MLS. Eric Tommy signed through 2027. So for the next 2 years, with an option for that weird 2027-28 season, whatever that's going to be. This is a massive pickup in the midfield for the Galaxy. Is it not, Timmy K?
Yeah, it is. And you talk about a grizzled guy, and this is what I think, and maybe Ananda can correct me if I'm wrong, but you need somebody in that midfield that's going to be grizzled, that's going to grind, and it's going to kind of beat up the other guy's number 9, right? And kind of shove them around a little bit and not let them get into the depths of the penalty box and keep them out of there. And if you can do that before you get to the back 3, back 4 of the Galaxy defense, that'll put a lot more ease of stress on that Galaxy defense, right, Ananda?
Yeah, I think that's part of it. The other thing is it puts a lot of ease and rest on Marco Reus. And we know his durability concerns. This is a guy that easily backs up Marco Reus in sort of that number 10. Eric Tommy's an interesting profile because he's not a true number 10, but he's a guy that's a really good carrier of the ball. He's again, MLS veteran in this league. He's very versatile. That's one of the things that Will Kuntz talked about in the press release today, was he's a very versatile player. He actually backs up really well in those wing positions for Gabriel Peck and Joseph Paintsel, because right now you've got guys like Gino Vivi, Ruben Ramos, and Mo Cuevas potentially filling those positions. So wing depth was also a need for his team. So Eric Tommy's versatility here is a real plus for the LA Galaxy.
Yeah, and Ananda, 31 years old, like we mentioned, but 200 plus professional matches in Germany before coming over to Sporting Kansas City. At Sporting, 120 matches, 38 goal contributions. I mean, his career, 123 goal contributions in 359 matches. He is a player who can help get you on the score sheet. And are there any concerns at all in terms of how much tire is on the tread at this point, or is this again another move by Will Kuntz where he's able to find these diamonds in the rough as he was signed to free agency?
Yeah, I think the concern is what you brought in, Scarf, is what you brought up there is just durability. You look at his minutes last year, 1,273 minutes. He came off the bench mostly, but you know what? 4 goals, 4 assists.
Yep.
If you're talking about a depth piece now, you're not necessarily talking about a starting level midfielder that can, relieve some of the stress off of Marco Reus in a CONCACAF Champions Cup match. Remember, guys, the Galaxy have 4 matches in the first 9 days of the season. And if they advance in the first round of CONCACAF Champions Cup, you're going to go through that stretch again. So it's almost like Greg needs 2 teams at his disposal, especially in the beginning of the season. And we saw the consequences of not having that depth in the beginning of the season. So again, it's durability. I think the big injury last year, something with his knee or, something with the lower body. So again, durability is going to be there, but he's going to be able to share those minutes with Marco Reus. And I think that's the advantage that Greg Manny has in his team selections.
Yeah. And you talk about needing 2 teams, needing depth and durability. Well, the Galaxy got another big one in an extended loan now from Botafogo with Mateus Nascimento. The loan extended through the first half of this season, June of 2026. So an interesting move and option. The U22 International will remain with Galaxy through June. There's also a buy option for the Galaxy should they choose to do so after June. It is important to note, right, Ananda, that there was also a purchase option in 2025, which the Galaxy chose not to trigger, but 6 goals and 4 assists in 28 matches last season. Having him only through June, Ananda, what does that mean for the Galaxy? Are they trying to keep flexibility open? Is this, like you were just talking about with Joao Klaus being able to play for a contract, is it anything related to that? What's with this half year that they have Nascimento for?
Yeah, that's super interesting, right? And I think part of it is definitely flexibility. Remember, guys, this is a World Cup year, so you're going to have some interesting attacking options come to the market at the end of the World Cup. And I think knowing what we know about Will Kuntz and how he maneuvered himself in the 2024 summer transfer window, poaching Marco Reus, off of the transfer market, I think he wants to build in that flexibility, because if the Galaxy are in a position where we're, a mid-table team, 4th and 5th place, but there's a really good shot of getting to the Western Conference Finals, we need that flexibility. And Will Kuntz, we've seen it already this winter. He's pulling the trigger, and he will definitely pull the trigger if the Galaxy have a chance.
I hear you on that one. Ananda, we've got some flexibility here on Soccer in 60. We want to say thank you. And of course, goodbye to Ananda. And again, if you want to hear Ananda, please listen to the Lacuna Galaxiana podcast, where he is a co-host. And let's bring in the voice of the Empire Strykers, one Christian Philly Philemon. Philly, welcome back, bud.
Often imitated, never duplicated. Empire Strykers are back with a vengeance, and they're coming for everybody. And what you gonna do when the Empire Strykers run wild on you, baby?
Just in case anybody didn't know, that is one Christian Philly Philemon, my co-host on Defenders of the Bank, and of course the voice of the Empire Strykers. Philly, a massive 2-game homestand for the Empire Strykers. It doesn't get any bigger than your heated rivals in the San Diego Sockers and the #1 team in the MASL in that of the Kansas City Comets. And Philly, they started out with an absolute barn burner at home until our interview subject, Walter Díaz González, decided to call game 9-5 over the Sockers at home. And Philly, you've called a lot of Strikers Sockers matches at Toyota Arena. Very few of them ended like this. How big was this one?
I mean, look, it's huge. If you would have told me 3 weeks ago that in a week the Empire Strykers would go on a tear and become the hottest team in the Major Arena Soccer League, I'd have called you a damn liar. 3 straight wins and 3 big wins on the road against Tacoma. That's proven to be a really good team this season. Finally beating the Galaxy 2 times in a season. First time that's happened since 2021. First time they've beaten them at home in 3 years. And then this is the first time they've beaten Kansas City at home since going back to 2022. So there's a lot of firsts that have happened in the past couple of weeks, and all coming off of the heels of a lot of the up-and-coming players on the Empire Strikers. You bring up Walter Díaz. Walter Díaz didn't have a goal to his MASL season until he scored one on the road against St. Louis. Now he's on a tear, 7 goals, 3 assists, or a little more than that. I mean, he's already the second leading scorer on the Empire Strikers. It's been one hell of a run. Mark my words, when they come out with the player of the month, Walter Díaz will be on that list.
Yeah, Walter Díaz. And he likes, by the way, Gonzalez because it's his mom's maiden name as well. So, or his mom's last name. So we talked with him about that. It was a great interview. Again, stick around. Make sure everybody listens to that fantastic interview with Walter Díaz González. And Philly, I was impressed. The Strikers didn't play the Galaxy. They definitely beat the Sockers twice for the first time. And so you got kind of excited on that one. I like it. But let me ask you.
Did I say the Galaxy?
You did. You got very
Jesus.
excited. I like it.
This is what happens when you keep me backstage for a while.
But listen, Philly, with 15 minutes left in the contest, it was 5-5. The Strikers never trailed, but the lead was never more than 1. And then enter our interview subject, Walter Díaz González. He said, I am the one who knocks. I am the danger, to quote another Walter White. And he was certainly in the Empire business against the Soccer, scoring the first 2 of what would be 4 straight Empire Strikers goals. Philly, that has been a match and a setup that the Empire Strikers have lost time and time again. 5-5 going into crunch time. What we saw was not only that they did not lose, they put the hammer down, finishing with the final 4 goals. Talk about what it means that they're able to finish a team like that in the way that they did.
Well, first off, it's not as if they really finished them because it was just a monumental fourth quarter. There was a very controversial call that occurred, and if it wasn't for our brilliant production crew, Mike Cepeda and everybody, that overhead camera view where Alberto was called for a handball in the box, if that call doesn't get reviewed in the way that it does, that's an opportunity for the Sockers once again to tie the score. Now we're talking about something different. Because of the controversy of that call, that took the wind right out of their sails, and that's what enabled the Empire to go on a tear. Sockers were beyond pissed and frustrated at that point. The floodgates were open, and the 10th win historically against San Diego in like 50 tries. Unbelievable.
Yeah, and Timmy, you and I were in the building together, my friend, for Sunday's victory, as Philly was calling it, over the Kansas City Comets. Oh, by the way, the first place Kansas City Comets. And Empire Strykers came out a house on fire, Timmy. Before we looked up, it was 7-0 Strykers. Now, of course, the match did end 10-6. And look, Lucia Tetsane had something to say about that with his hat trick. And obviously, Zach Reggett's not going to go very often without scoring. He got 2 in there as well. But let's talk about the Strykers. Absolutely great performance again from Walter Díaz, Abdul Mansour, Justin Stinson. Timmy, what did you see sitting there in Toyota Arena watching that victory?
I saw that the team came out house of fire immediately. They almost got a goal like they did in the Sockers game. They almost had a goal 25 seconds into the match. Just it clanged off the post. But you could tell that Kansas City was in trouble from the get-go. And they just ran roughshod over them the entire first half. And that goal with half a second left in the first half, I think that really broke Kansas City spirits. Now, they did come back and score 6 in the second half, and you saw a little bit of the meltdown that has become a little bit of the Strikers' MO. But what I really liked about it is they never stopped shooting the ball. They never stopped getting after it. And when they scored a first, Kansas City got a couple of goals, the Strikers came back and got 2 more. And then they kind of gave up a few other goals and then got one late to make the final score. But I think that's really the difference between what has happened over the past 2-3 seasons with the Strikers versus what is happening this year.
Yeah, and Philly, we saw them maybe take their foot off the pedal a little bit there in the second half, but as they now travel to the Kansas City Comets on Friday, January 30th, and then a quick turnaround as they go to Baltimore on Sunday, February 1st, you look at the Strikers in the table, Philly, they're now up to 6th, 14 points from 11 matches. That +7 goal differential, 3rd best in the entire league. They're the only team under 50 goals allowed. Is it safe to say, Philly, that they have turned the corner and things are starting to gel?
Still too early. This road trip is really going to be indicative of a lot of things. Interestingly enough, Kansas City is a team that's been much better on the road this season than at home. But mark my words, Cable Dama Arena is not an easy place to play. That's one of the most passionate fan bases in the league. That place is going to be packed to the gills. The question will be, who do the Strikers bring with them on the road? Because we saw when they went to St. Louis, they left back Marco Fabian. They left back a couple of key players. So it'll be very interesting to see who takes the trip in to Independence, Missouri. But then they go play the Baltimore Blast, a team that's lost 4 out of their last 5. They're a chip on their shoulder. They've been starting to regress, considering they started out the season very hot. But winning in Baltimore is incredibly difficult as well. Much smaller arena. That's a place where they've had a great deal of history and a great deal of success. So contingent upon how the Strikers do on the road against 2 of the toughest teams to beat at home, that'll really be indicative as to whether or not a corner has been turned. But so much has to happen between now and then. These 2 games are going to be insanely crucial as to figuring out what the identity of the Empire really is.
Yeah, and make sure you guys tune in to MASL Plus and everywhere else you can watch these indoor soccer games so you can hear the voice of the Empire Strikers, one Christian, Philly Philemon, and all of the fantastic goal call, for players.
I said Galaxy, you said golf ball.
For players like Walter Díaz González, who is our incredible interview subject. Philly, thank you so much for joining us once again on Soccer in 60.
Thanks, Billy.
All right, let's get to our friends over at National Core. I'm pretty sure I can get this one right. National Core is one of the nation's largest nonprofit affordable housing developers and a proud sponsor of your MASL team, the Empire Strykers. At National Core, they believe that soccer has the power to transform lives just like they do. They believe in building strong communities on and off the field. And to learn more about National Core and their mission, head on over to nationalcore.org. But we're going to learn more about Walter Díaz González right now. Timmy K and I sat down with Walter and asked him about all things Empire Strykers and a little bit about himself. So let's take a listen to Walter Díaz González. Our guest has rapidly become one of the most intriguing storylines in Empire Strykers history. Managing to leave his native Cuba for the United States, he spent nearly all of last season battling injuries before finally making his full return this season and going on what is currently a 4-game goal-scoring tear and a 5-game point-scoring streak. Before leaving Cuba, he was a member of the country's futsal national team, and now he's dazzling fans around the MASL with his stunning footy skills and electric attacking play. We are so happy to have here with us on Soccer in 60, Strikers forward Walter Díaz González. Walter, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here.
We're very happy to have you on. You've been absolutely crushing it this year for the Empire Strykers. It has been really fun to watch you play. But before we talk about the Strykers, if we could just take a second and go back to your past. You grew up in the beautiful city of Havana, Cuba. For most Americans, though, that's an entirely different world. Tell us a little bit about your life growing up as a child and a teenager. Do you have any brothers and sisters?
Yes. I have 3 sisters. I have one sister older than me 1 year. One in the middle, like she has 24. Okay. I have another one, like I guess, like I don't remember good, like 5. I think she has 5. I think. I born in Havana. I grew up there. My childhood was like really, really good. My childhood, I'm not saying this like for nothing, you know.
Sure.
When I was child, I had this part like really close to my house. I spent a lot of time there with my friends, and I play a lot of sports, not only soccer, a lot of sport there. But yeah, like when I was like 10, 11, I choose soccer and I start like playing only soccer. Like I said before, I play a lot of sport. I was good in playing like baseball, volleyball, and all this. But I think in soccer I was a little better, and then my friends like start like saying me like, hey, you are good in soccer, playing soccer, just keep going, you know. I start like playing more and more soccer.
Yeah, we talked about you playing growing up in Cuba, and you came over to the States in 2022, right? And then in 2024, you signed with the Empire Strikers. Where were you playing before the Strikers, and how did the opportunity with the Empire come up for you?
Yeah, I lived in Miami, you know. I was playing there futsal, like a little a little tournament there in Miami with my friends, you know, once a week, something like that. I don't remember good now. And suddenly one day, these friends like invite me Las Vegas national tournament, futsal tournament. I was like, I don't know, I have to pay all these things, you know. I need to work. I don't wanna like miss my work for, you know, just play for fun. I say no at the beginning, but they went like, hey, you have to go, you have to go, you have to go. Come, it's super fun. You never know. A lot of guys playing so good there, and you never know. You have to come. And I was like, you know, I don't know. I'm gonna think about it, but I'm not sure. 2 days before they go there to Las Vegas, you know what? I'm going. I called the coach for that team, and I say, hey, okay, I go. Let me buy my tickets to go there to Las Vegas. But yeah, I just say that, and he was like super happy. I told my friends too, and my friends were super happy too. And then I went there with my friends. You know, come on, it's Las Vegas. You never know. Let me know this new city. You know, I never went there before. Yeah, I went there. I start playing with this team, and I start playing good. You know, futsal is the game I played all my life,
Yeah.
and I was good there in that tournament, like individual. You know, at that moment, the head coach was Paul, right? And Chewy was there, and they saw me playing. You know, they watching me playing, and after the first game, they come to me and start talking about the MASL. I was, yeah, okay,
That's
just
cool.
take my number and just let me know. You know, I have everything in Miami, so send me the contract if you guys are interested. I'm gonna read it, and you know, if I like it, I get in touch with you guys. And
Oh,
yes,
that's great.
that's it. And I went to Miami, and like a week after, Chewy texting me, "Hey, these guys are interested in you," blah 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 blah. And then you know they sent me the contract, and the rest of history. I'm here now.
We mentioned that you were injured for a while with the Strikers right after you signed, and now you're playing great. How hard was it to know that you were capable of playing at this level, but not being able to show people?
It was hard, but you know at the same time, like I'm a confident guy. Always like you know I trust in me all the time, but the injury was like really bad, and I wasn't able to play. You know, nothing. Even one game, it was like okay, I have to recover first. And yeah, it was hard, especially because I know what I'm capable to do, and my friends and my teammates in the moment, they always know too. They watching me training at the beginning before I get injured, and they know it too. You know, like we need you. You can play here. You can play. We need you. And yeah, it was hard at the beginning, but after, yeah, that's made me like stronger in my mind, you know. I learned a lot of things in that moment. Yeah, especially because it was hard, you know, knowing I can play and not able to play to help my teammates, especially in that season because that season was like really tough for Empire Striker.
Yeah, Walter, let's talk strikers for just a minute. About a week ago is when the world finally got to see the full power of Walter Díaz González. You had 3 massive goals and an assist against the San Diego Sockers. And afterwards, Walter, you were pretty emotional. Tell us about what it was like finally being able to go out there and show everybody how good you really can play.
Yeah, after that, I was, you know, really emotionally because, you know, I was waiting for this for a long time. Yeah, I was so happy, so exciting, especially in our home against San Diego. You know, San Diego is a really good team. My respect to them. It was like fun, you know, score hat trick and get an assist. It's not that easy, you know. I was like really happy, emotional because everything went good, you know. Happy to do it, happy to do it in home, you know, like in front of all of our fans.
Yeah, and then Walter, the next game you do it again, right? Your team races out. You guys are up 7-0. You guys are up 6-0 in the first half. They start to come back a little bit, but then you score 2 more goals to put the game away. A little bit of a bumpy performance in the second half, but how happy were you with the way that you played and with the performance by the team against Kansas City?
I was like really happy and satisfied, you know, because I saw my teammates like after that game we get against San Diego is like a shot of energy for us, you know. Before the game against Kansas, I feel like so confident. Not only me, I saw in my teammates, you know, too. They were like so happy, so confident, and I just say, you know, this is gonna be good. So today is our day 2, and we're gonna go there to win the game. Well, yeah, I'm very happy, you know, very happy to contribute with goals against a really good team like Kansas, you know.
So,
Yeah,
Walter, I got a question for you. This 3-game streak you're on is especially remarkable because just not that long ago, you guys suffered 5 straight losses that were very narrow losses. What would you say is different now compared back then?
I think we are more confident now in the way we play, you know. At the beginning, I don't know, we were like trying to figure out. Like I say, we needed this like shot of confidence when we play against Tacoma at home. After that game, something like really did click. You know, we start like playing better, much better. Like the confidence of our confidence was like growing up. And yeah, we had this game against San Luis. We did a lot of good things, but the shots we shot a lot, and the goals don't came in. And yeah, after that game, we start like doing the game against Tacoma and the games and the next game, you know. But it's nothing different. Just we keep training every day with our tactic, with our teams, you know. But just I think something did click, you know, like. Yeah, that we knew it. We knew it at some point something is gonna be like, yeah, it's gonna be good, and we're gonna start like winning games, you know.
Yeah, I totally get it. So, hey, let's look ahead. You guys are coming up on a 2-game road trip that starts this Friday with a rematch against Kansas City, and you just played them this past week, as we just were talking about. Do you have to change any of your tactics on the road versus at home?
No, not really. Just we know this game is gonna be hard, especially because we play away and they play in home. You know, it's always playing home is much better for the teams because they have their fans. You know, supporting them. I think they're gonna be like very hungry to get this win, especially in home, and they're gonna play so hard, you know. But nothing is gonna change for us. We know what we're doing every single day in training. We are prepared. We respect them, but you know, we are prepared to get these games, you know, to play these games.
All right. Well, look, we talked about the game against Kansas City. We talked a little bit about you. We don't want to look over the Baltimore Blast. They're another team that you guys are playing coming up in just a little bit. I know you're focusing right now on Kansas City, but is there anything that you've already looked at with Baltimore that you can tell us that stands out for you?
We talk about Baltimore. We are prepared to this game too, but the only thing it can be like a little difference there is because the field over there is very small. You know, we play in a big field here in the Toyota Arena. All the games, especially all the games are in big arenas like O Arena. It's nothing special to say about them. They are a very good team too. Like I always say to everyone, every single team here is a hard team, you know. They had a lot of good players, 1v1 players. I think they had a lot of futsal players too. So, no, we respect them, but like I said before, we are prepared. We are prepared to all these games.
Absolutely. And look, you know, we've talked a lot about soccer. Obviously, you're on an absolute heater right now. You've been great, tied for the team lead with 7 goals. But let's get to know Walter away from soccer really quickly. What do you like to do when you're not playing soccer? How do you spend your time? Do you have any family that's close? What kind of hobbies do you have? You know, what about you do we need to know about, Walter?
I'm a really quiet guy out of the field, you know. I like to get to stay chilling at home, eat some food, like watching a movie, spend time with my friends, but nothing too much, you know. Just chilling, like trying, especially in season. We're trying to the recovery is very important, so it's good to stay at home, like resting, eating good, but nothing too much. Just I like to spend time with my teammates all the time as I'm with them. But yeah, no, nothing really. Just watch movie, rest, go to the gym. Just that. Yeah.
Well, sounds good. Walter, listen, if the fans haven't had a chance to see you yet at Toyota Arena, they are missing out. We want to remind everybody, go to theempirestrykers.com, and that's strikers with a Y, to get your tickets for home games to go see our current tied for team lead in goals with 7 goals on the season, Walter Díaz González. Walter, thank you so much for coming on Soccer in 60, and we hope to be talking to you later in the season about more wins, okay?
Okay, thank you to you guys for inviting me here. It's a pleasure.
Timmy, it was a great time to be able to sit down there with Walter. He did an absolutely fantastic job with that interview. Looking forward to hearing and seeing more goals from him as well. Angel City got into the mix with a couple of their players playing for the U.S. women's national team. And you want to talk about looking forward to seeing some goals. How about Emily Sams, who the newest signing, of course, for Angel City, the newest big name signing, I should say. And again, look, anytime you can bring a player in to your starting lineup who has won Defensive Player of the Year or Defender of the Year in the NWSL and who starts on a regular basis now for the U.S. women's national team, Timmy, it's one thing. but when she gets her first U.S. women's national team goal and an assist and the full 90 in a 5-0 win against Chile, that's icing on the cake.
Yeah, you talk about a coup de grace for Alex Strauss. This is it. This is one of the premier signings. He's put together a lot of different players over the not quite 7 months that he's been with the club. But this one is this one's the star on the top, I believe. Yeah. Because when you, like you said, defender of the year, regular starter now for the U.S. women's national team and gets a goal and an assist, this is going to do bodes of well of confidence for the team as well as for Sam's going forward this coming season.
Yeah, all the talk for the U.S. women's national team has been on the shutout streak that they are on. 5 straight shutouts, clean sheets for the U.S. women's national team. And knowing that you have one of the defenders that is an absolute star of that back line in Emily Sams. There were 2 matches, of course, for the U.S. women's national team, 6-0 win over Paraguay on June 24th and a 5-0 win over Chile on January 27th. Emily Sams also came on in the 63rd to preserve that shutout over Paraguay. So huge things, both expected and that we are seeing already from Emily Sams in a women's national team shirt anyway. And another player who you and I have talked about, Timmy K, on this show dozens of times now. She may not have her sister Alyssa with her anymore, but Giselle Thompson, an absolute star for the U.S. women's national team. She started and played the full 90 in that 6-0 win over Paraguay. She assisted on one of the goals, looked really, really good, both on defense and transitioning to offense. And again, she's so young and so talented, the homegrown product out of Harvard Westlake. Is this the season where Giselle kind of comes into her own and becomes a bona fide star in the NWSL?
Absolutely. I think since the sisters have played together forever, right? Giselle has never not played with their sister basically since they started playing when they were 5. I think not that they're in each other's shadows, but I think that this is the year that Giselle really sees what she can do without her sister on board. And I think one of the things that's really going to happen is her leadership, even at the young age that she is, that's really going to come out and showcase itself this season. And I think this could be easily double-digit points, and it could potentially be double-digit goals for Giselle this season.
Yeah, and you're talking about, again, backline players, right? She's a defender. Emily Sams is a defender. And now you're talking about being able to get a bunch of offense from there. Mm-hmm. It's going to be interesting to see who scores up top for Angel City this year. Obviously, Claire Emsley having a child and not being able to play much, I believe, at the start of the season. She'll have to play her way back in to that scoring role. But it'll be interesting to see. Now, it starts soon in that Angel City's season schedule was released just about last week or so. 30 matches on the schedule. Opening night is Sunday, March 15th. But remember, they are playing out at the Coachella Valley Invitational, so you can catch them there. Sunday, March 15th against the Chicago Stars. And those, of course, are 2 teams in the bottom 4 last season looking to rewrite 2026 for them. And a couple of neat things on the schedule. The first matches ever against the Boston Legacy. And thank you for changing your name to something that doesn't make us all laugh. Boston Legacy. Very good job. They'll play them in Boston on August 31st. And then at home, the final game of the 2026 regular season will be against Boston on November 1st. And then, of course, also taking on the Denver Summit. With, by the way, a couple of former Angel City players looking to test their might against their former team. On the road, October 17th, but home here, September 11th. And the one that I've got always circled on my calendar is when are we playing the reigning champs? And Rose Lavelle and Gotham will be coming on Sunday, August 23rd. Let me ask you, how excited are you to get things back going at BMO Stadium to see some Angel City action?
I think it's going to be great. The fans have always come out and supported them, even when they've, kind of fallen on hard times. You got a core group of people out there, and go see them at the game, because it's going to be a challenge to figure out which network they're going to be on at every one of those games, because you got 9 different ones. And
Yeah,
I know most of the fans didn't come last year and things like that, but I think with the Alex Strauss era beginning really truly in just a couple of weeks here, I think you got to go out and see him at the stadium.
Look, you're 100% correct. It is a great atmosphere when it's full out there at BMO Stadium. But you mentioned it: Victory Plus, Ion Network, ESPN, ESPN2, Prime Video, CBS Sports Network, ABC. Those are the networks that are listed as carrying any of the 30 matches for the NWSL's Angel City Football Club. Too many networks might be a thing. I mean, that's a lot of subscription services, a lot of cable channels. There's a lot going on there. It's something you and I kind of talked about off air a little bit, but it's going to be interesting for all of you Angel City supporters out there. Please make sure you are checking your local listings for which of the networks that these matches will be on. But they do kick things off again at the Coachella Valley Invitational Sunday, February 15th, and Saturday, February 21st, before you have to go network hunting, and where's Waldoing it for sure, for Angel City Football Club. And look,
let me
talk
pop in here real quick. Let me pop in, Scarf. Everybody should do what Ananda said. Go out and see them at Coachella Valley, because you'll get to see the really super high quality soccer 10 feet from you. It's really good.
You're absolutely right. One thing we didn't get to see was Orange County Soccer Club's match against LAFC. Of course, we had talked about it earlier. It was a 1-0 friendly win for LAFC. But last episode, Timmy, we talked about how exciting it would be seeing the U.S. Youth National Team pair of newly signed 2025 MLS Next All-Star Jameer Johnson and the newly re-signed Pedro Guimaraes take the pitch for Orange County Soccer Club in 2026. Well, that's not going to be happening, Timmy, but you know what? Kudos to Pedro signing a first-team contract with German Bundesliga side Eintracht Frankfurt. Fabrizio Romano was the first to report this on social media. Orange County Soccer Club hasn't let the cat out of the bag just yet, but you know what? Fabrizio and a lot of other outlets have already. The deal appears to be a multi-year first-team deal with Eintracht Frankfurt, which, look, it's a huge step up from Orange County to go to the Bundesliga and to play with Eintracht Frankfurt. Timmy, since coming over from the LAFC Academy, he appeared in 31 matches for Orange County, 4 goals and an assist, just under 2,000 minutes. But how many times are we going to say it on this show, Soccer in 60? This is why these young kids sign with Orange County.
It's exactly why they sign with Orange County. The pathway to Europe has been a gold mine for Orange County Soccer Club. Since the new ownership has taken over a few years ago, and the ownership paid only $5 million for this team, rebranded them as Orange County Soccer Club. They're now worth reported somewhere around $50 million valuation. They're expanding. It was reported this afternoon, just about an hour before we're taping, that they're expanding the Champ, which could potentially expand all the way to 15,000 seats, which, that's the magic number, right? To get into the Pro Rel division. That's why you're getting guys like Jameer. That's why you're getting SB. That's why you're getting some of these younger kids that are just absolute studs, because they know they can get the experience. And then you have a guy like Pedro sign a first team deal to go from USL Championship to First Division Eintracht Frankfurt. Dude, I would, if I was 17, I would do everything I would be back to get to Orange County.
100%. And you mentioned it too. You have to remember, USL Championship is just one rung below MLS. MLS Next Pro, which a lot of these teams have feeders in MLS Next Pro, that's Division 3. The soccer is not nearly as good as it has been in the USL Championship. And let's remind everybody as well, these young kids signed with Orange County Soccer Club because of the proven pathway to Europe. Goalkeeper Aaron Cervantes signing with Scottish giant Rangers. Defender Kobe Henry, who made his U.S. men's national team debut while playing for Orange County Soccer Club, moves on to Reims in France for a USL Championship record transfer. Milan Iloski, who's been scoring goals now back again in MLS, went to Nordsjælland of Denmark, and several other players over the past 5 years. You mentioned it. Since the ownership group took over, it is a proven pathway to Europe through Orange County Soccer Club. So a lot of people again, turning an eye, wondering, how does Orange County Soccer Club get these guys and not some of these MLS squads out there? It's because they've proven that the process works for sure. Now, Timmy, something that isn't always working well for our producer Gunner is setting up this strike force, this top three. And look, it's a good problem for our producer Gunner to have. The Strikers have been absolutely on fire over the last several matches, including 9 goals and 10 goals in their last 2 matches. So a lot of players to choose from. And the 3 stars for the strike force that we have this week, Steven Chavez gets our 3rd star. The midfielder had 2 goals and an assist against Kansas City on the 25th. And by the way, a goal against the San Diego Sockers. Abdul Mansour gets the 2nd star for 2 goals and assist against Kansas City. And no doubt who our number 1 star was going to be, Walter Díaz González, the forward with 3 goals and an assist against the Sockers, 2 goals against the Kansas City Comets. But Timmy, you and I had one quick question for our producer Gunner that we told him, no, it's okay. We'll just address it to all of the people that are listening out there. Where in the heck is Justin Stinson?
Where's the stinger, man? Come on. The guy is playing on fire too. I mean, he started off the season kind of slow, and that's okay, and things like that. But now in these last 5 matches, 4 of them wins. The stinger is mucho en fuego. And it's really fun to see because not only is he scoring goals, but what he's doing is he's back checking. He's never not hustled, but just you can see the fire. I mean, I saw him pre-match over the weekend against Kansas City, and he looked like he was ready to go.
Yeah, in the 2 matches this week, 3 goals and 2 assists combined. So some clear oversight as far as I'm concerned on our strike force. And by the way, Clayson DeLima also playing very, very well in goal. I mean, look, it's an embarrassment of riches between the pipes, right? Between Brian Orozco, Brandon Gomez, and Clayson DeLima, we've got 3 starting caliber keepers. But what an incredible week and a tough job. We love our producer Gunner, but every now and then we got to give him a hard time for strike force as well. What wasn't a hard time, though, is to go all around soccer in the Southland on yet again the fastest paced soccer show in SoCal. Once again, this is Soccer in 60, brought to you by SAC Health System. That's Timmy K. Thank you to Ananda. Thank you to Philly. Thank you to Christian Giordani, our fantastic sound man behind the scenes, and of course to Gunner, our producer. Subscribe to the YouTube page, subscribe to the podcast on all your podcast platforms, and we will see you all back next week for another fantastic episode of Soccer in 60, brought to you by